Matthew chapter 21, verse 22 in the Bible states, "In all things whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing and ye shall receive." Today I'm going to give to you my pray for wisdom like that of King Solomon, Socrates, and Malcolm X. Personally, I think this is extremely ironic but destined, as this topic that I'm about to speak on is the same topic that my parents have ingrained in me and my siblings had ever since I can remember. I know both me, my brothers, and maybe even my sister could wing a 6-minute presentation on this topic about faith and character by now. I can recall numerous nights of random talks that started with character and unnoticeably ending on faith. Out of hundreds of talks with my parents' faith, character, or both are mentioned in every one. Our family talks happen so often that the setting doesn't even matter anymore. We've been called from playing outside, from doing homework, from us fake sleeping, and even from us actually being asleep. Those same talks that I sometimes found boring are the same ones that have prevented me from engaging in negative activity. So therefore, I would like to tell my younger brother and sister, who have many more random talks to go, to know that their wisdom will assist you in avoiding a lot of conflictual traps in you all's future. Faith and character are two ingredients that have molded my personality and who I am and will continue to do so. I believe faith and character work hand in hand because without one, you either become frustrated with the unknowing or you are easy to manipulate without having a foundation of faith. For example, if you have character but lack in faith, you question afterlife and become fearful of death, as your mind will circle trying to answer the impossibly known. Just as if you have bad character and strong faith, your faith won't condone nor justify your negative way of going about your life. Faith and character to me is like a complementary good. For those who are in econ class or in econ class or in a econ class and still don't know what it is, it's when A and B are complementary and the using of more good A requires the use of more good B. For example, peanut butter and jelly. We're going to a trip to the grocery store to pick up peanut butter. You usually result in grabbing the strawberry or grape jelly to go along with it. If the price of jelly goes up and less people buy it, there's a strong chance that the sales of peanut butter will also fall. Just like with faith and character. For instance, if you're hit with more adversity, you're questioning your belief in your faith. By disregarding the rules of your religion, there's a strong chance that your character is bound to fall and change for the worse too. But when you acquire both faith and character, as my boy Swaggy P said, that shouldn't even be legal. In life, there are some things you just can't ignore and avoid. There has been situations in my life that have demanded me to respond. For example, when I was bullied attending my third middle school, this began once I moved from my hometown, Louisville, Kentucky, to Lynchburg, Virginia. The young and naive, I expected to just fall into place as I did in my old school and community, but boy was I wrong. This was my first realization that some kids just say or do anything to belittle others to make themselves feel better. After being talked about by multiple cliques and holding in my emotions the whole school day, when I got home, I couldn't hold in my tears. While it wasn't the jokes that caused my tears to fall, but the realization that I was in a new community and environment that I knew I had to get reacquainted to. The thought of going through another process that took so long for me to build was frightening to me. I figured it would require me to change my characteristics and hinder my faith to fit in. It took me until the next day when I talked to my neighbor at the time, who was a 66-year-old historian who was ripped and had lots of wisdom, told me, if my character that I have to change to make friends, then it's me who needs to spend more time with myself to find my identity. After receiving those words of wisdom and applying it to my life, I learned volumes about myself and continue to learn more about myself. Identity is pivotal in attaining faith and a fruitful character. Someone who has an identity has a firm understanding of whom they are and what they stand for. Identity is formed by your values, your morals, faith, and characteristics. However, identity can easily be defined but hard to obtain. For example, one similarity that Martin Luther King, Gandhi, and Socrates all have were their identities. Their identity for what they stood for and passion for what they wanted is what led them to making their major impacts on our world. Their passion and identity distinctively separates themselves from others. God creates each person differently and uniquely, giving each one of us a discrete purpose. God allows us to know who we are passionate about. God allows us to know what we are passionate about from knowing who we are and what we stand for. Once we figure out our identity, we then can work on making a positive impact on our purpose. Faith can also have a positive impact on character. With the help of my parents, family, church, and reading of my own, my relationship with God has changed my perspective on life and has influenced my character substantially. Learning more about God has allowed me to see the greatness inside of me. What I mean by this is by learning more about Him, He has enabled me to see a lot of things in His perspective. It has also allowed me to find out more about myself. It's God's strength, righteousness, heart, courage, and affection that's in all of us. My character and faith have been greatly influenced by many people, but mainly by the life of Jesus. I try to visualize His sacrifice for us, undergoing an unimaginable gory torture before His crucifixion. Additionally, His sinless human-lived life that was exemplified for us to know living righteous is possible. Not saying that we are not going to sin, because we are, but to be willing to better our faith and character by learning from our mistakes. God is merciful and forgiving, but if we abuse His mercy, He punishes the ones He loves, which is everyone. God also helps in overcoming negativity, which is crucial for strong character. The world today continues to create more and more negative options that cause contamination in our minds. One of the main reasons being where we're at with technology. Having the option to look up anything is seen as being great, although people neglect the numerous unrighteous options that are also on the web that could contaminate our character and faith. Our character and faith is constantly being put to a test, knowing that we have full control in entertaining our unrighteous desires at will. The only solution to overpowering the negative is feeding yourself protection. What I mean by feeding yourself protection is strengthening your faith by studying more and bettering your character by fixing your flaws. In life, God allows the devil to tempt us to see how we respond. He does not prevent the devil from approaching us because He looks at it as a test to reveal our glory for Him. Just as God allowed Satan to attack Eve in the Garden of Eden in the form of a serpent, Adam and Eve sinned and were both punished. Another instance is in Matthew chapter 4, verse 1 through 10. God allowed temptation from Satan as a test for Jesus. Jesus was tested through temptation by Satan in the desert, and unlike Adam, passed the test. He said no to sin and won the victory. Even when we have no clear answer to explain why God allows Satan to attack, we still have the promise of Romans chapter 8, verse 28 stating, "And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to His purpose." Then He also states, God is faithful, and He will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, He will also provide the way of escape, that you may be able to endure it. In 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. God's intentions are always good, and He does test you. With His tests, He gives us the free will to choose our paths, never giving us the obstacle we can't handle, or never giving us any obstacle that we can't handle. This earthly existence that we only get once shouldn't be wasted on time spent trying to find ourselves through others. If that's your case, then you'll never reach your maximum potential, nor serve God's purpose for you. So I advise all of you to make sure you spend time with yourself by doing things on your own to help find your identity. It's your faith and character that brings your identity to creation. As finding one's faith and character formulates a concrete person, which is called identity. The earlier you get a grasp of who you are and what you stand for, the more time you have on serving your purpose and making a positive impact. Thank you, and may God bless you all.